All right, in this tutorial we're going to take a close look at the bin window of EDIUS and the various ways that we can work with the bin window to organize our media for efficient edit sessions. Now, when you're working on a laptop or a system that only has one monitor, keep in mind that you can stretch out your windows to better facilitate working with specific tasks. And so if you're at a point where you need to work with your bin to organize your media for your edit, you can stretch that bin window right out in order to facilitate that. Now, there are different ways that you can bring media into your bin in order to work with. One we found out recently is just simply double-clicking in the bin window itself to open up a window that actually works a lot like Windows Explorer, which allows you to go through your hard drives that are attached to your system and find media to import into your project. So let's say you have some clips located in a file folder called Burma, and you want to be able to go after some of those clips. This allows you to very easily locate some of those clips so that you can bring them in. Notice over here, just very much like Windows Explorer, you can choose how you want this information displayed, either by icons or by the detail file information. I usually like to have it set on the icons so that I can visually see what I'm looking for and be able to select my media that way. Now, much like Windows Explorer, you can choose files by clicking on them. If you want to choose more than one, hold your Control key down and select your items that way. Or if you want to select a group, you can select the first in your list and hold your Shift key down and go to the last one on your list and bring them in by clicking on the Open key. I usually like to bring them into what we see over here as the root folder. You could actually name that anything you want, main folder if you like. Okay, now since all of these clips are from Burma, we might simply just use the Control-A key to select them all and drop them into our Burma folder. However, we may at this point want to begin to create a little bit more organization to our project, and how we can do that is by creating new folders that will help us organize our media. So simply right-click on any of your folders to create a new folder that will fall underneath the folder that you started with. We see we've got what looks like some crafts going on here. Let's go ahead and make one called crafts. Let's go back to our main folder and see what else we have here. Looks like we have what appears to be a group meeting. Let's call it adult education. And go ahead and drop those in there. This looks like, you want to take a closer look on it, just double click and it brings it into the play window here. It looks like one of those craft shots, so let's drop that in there. Now, EDIUS usually shows you the first frame of your clip, and if the first frame does not represent what the clip is, there's a couple ways that you can find out what's in that clip. Again, just double click on the clip and it brings it into the play window, and we can roll through it using the slider bar here, and we see, oh, it's just color bars. And probably what we did when we were digitizing the tape, we just started it at the beginning of the tape and it picked up this section of color bars. And so what I usually do when I'm organizing my media is I create a folder called Trash. And as I'm going through my clips, if I find clips that I know that I'll never use and I want to get them off my hard drive, I'll go ahead and drop those into a folder called Trash. And then at the end of the day, I'll open up that folder and I'll delete all the media that's in that folder from my hard drives. All right, let's go through. Looks like we've got interviews here. Drop that into the interviews. And these next few clips I know are B-roll that go along with these interviews. So let's go ahead and create another level of our file structure here and call this B-roll. And now we can drop those 4 clips into our B-roll. Now there are other ways that you can go after media. We learned that we can use a keyboard shortcut called Control-O with the caveat that in order for that to work properly, your focus needs to be in the bin window. If you happen to be working down here in the timeline and use the Control O, EDIUS is going to be doing a completely different function. It's going to want to open a whole new project, and it's going to ask you, do you want to save this project first? Well, if you want to use your keyboard shortcut to add media to your project, just make sure that you click at least once in your bin window before you use your Control O in order to bring in material. Let's go after a little bit more media here. Let's bring in some shots of my new grandbaby. We'll go ahead and create a new folder called Family, and perhaps generate several levels here. And if you need to, you can always stretch this out to include more levels to your file structure here as you organize your media. So we've got shots of baby here. Drop those into baby. Quickly sort through these. Baby, baby. Family. More baby. And by holding down your Control key, of course, you can select more than one at a time. Family, more baby, and there's baby with grandpa. And some of these other shots, you can scroll down, select the rest of them, and drop them into family. All right, what else can we do with our bin window here? Let's maybe open up our Africa folder here and see what we've got going here in the Safari folder. Now I should mention, if by any chance you're not seeing a separate window here that display file folders, it could be that you have toggled your window so that it's only showing clips. And so if all you see in your bin window is clips, then by going up to this icon you can toggle back and forth between being able to show simply media in a clip bin or being able to see also your file structure. Maybe we should take a quick look at some of these other icons and what they do. There's a search tool here. This allows you to move up your file structure. You have an icon that will invoke a title tool that comes with EDIUS, Quick Titler. And this icon allows you to generate color bars and color mats, which you will find very useful in many of your projects. Let's go ahead and generate color bars. Click on that. You'll notice that EDIUS will allow you to generate a variety of different types of color bars. Let's go with the SMPTE color bar. And it also generates tone to go with your color bar. You'll see that you can select several different levels of tone there. Minus 12 dB is probably the standard for digital projects, so let's go ahead and use that. And you'll see that EDIUS will then add color bars to the bottom of the bin window that's open. Now what we should do so this doesn't get lost is drop this into our graphics bin, and now whenever we need color bars we'll be able to find that in our graphics bin. Looks like we already had a few already in there. So we can go ahead and delete that. There are several different ways you can delete clips. Just simply select the ones that you don't want and hit the delete key is probably the easiest. Okay, but let's go back up to our icon here and generate a couple of mats. Just click on Color Mat. By default, EDIUS gives you a black mat, so if you simply hit OK, you'll get a color mat that is black, which is very useful in your projects. You can drop that down on your timeline and throw a dissolve on there, and now you have a dissolve down to black from your timeline.
You know, it drives the process.
But you're not restricted to black. Let's just go back up there, Color Mat, and click on the little square here, and we'll see it opens up a color window which allows you to select virtually any color that you would like. Okay, now we have a nice blue mat that we could throw on our timeline and dissolve down to blue, should we ever want to do something like that. While we're looking at these icons up here, let's see if there's anything else that might be useful. The next three are basically handled much better with keyboard shortcuts. It's your basic word processing functions, your cut, your copy, your paste. So for example, if for some reason we wanted a second copy of our color bars, by simply selecting that, you can use your keyboard shortcuts just like a word processor gives us another copy of that clip. Let's just take a look at the last few icons here. This one says Show in Player. So let's say we had this clip selected here and we used that icon, clicked on it. It would bring this clip into our play window and allow us to scroll through it and see what's in there. However, it's simply much easier to double click on a clip, and that brings it into the play window as well. Or a lot of people find that it's just as simple to drag and drop a clip into the play window and look through it that way. The next one adds to timeline. So let's highlight a clip and go ahead and use our icon to select that, and you'll see it drops it down to our timeline. However, once again, rather than going up to our icon strip, it's probably just as easy to drag that down to the timeline manually. All right. And we have a delete function. We have a properties function. This is actually something that you'll use a lot, looking up more information about your clips. With any clip highlighted, you can use the properties, or simply right-clicking on any clip and choosing the drop-down menu. You can select properties, which will bring up a window and give you more information about the media itself, where it's stored on your hard drives, information about what type of video it is, what size the video is, the format, audio information, etc. So it's good to know where that can be found, properties, or in your right-click drop-down menu properties. And moving on, we have this is one that you'll use a lot. This toggles, let's just stretch this back a little bit. This toggles the various different ways that you can view media in your bin, and you'll see that you can have smaller icons, which gives you more room for clip information. Hitting it again will give you just text information. And then there's also one that just demonstrates the picons of each clip. And a smaller version of that to give you more picons in any given folder. Okay, I usually like to have this one open where we have large icons and still have access to the text. And you can move these around. Let's say that you like to have the size of your clip demonstrated right after the tape name. You can bring those over, your end code, your start time code, the clip type, and you can also extend the width of each of these so that you have more room to type in a comment. But I like to have the comment usually right beside the clip name. And if you bring your cursor up to the very top bar here and right-click on it, you'll see a drop-down menu here that allows you to select the type of information that you will display in your bin window. Let's say that you want to have the record date time demonstrated. You can click on that. And if you don't see your new selection showing up, it's probably because it's off the screen. You can scroll over and see that that has come in over at the very end. And if we want to see that more readily, we can bring that over and have it right after comment. One that I like to have close in view is called timeline reference. Let's drag that over. This will show you how many times a particular media clip has been used in one of the timelines in your project. So we see that because this particular clip is on the timeline, it shows up as having been used. And the reason it says twice is because there's audio and video associated with this reference. And so for example, if we drop that on again, this will turn to 4. And if we want to put this clip on, because we overwrote one that was there, it took away one there and added one here. Let's just maybe bring this down a little bit and add a few more, and you can see how this is referenced each time you add a new clip. And of course, one of the big advantages of having this clip information displayed here is that you can go in and sort on any field. Let's say we want to sort our clips based on the date that they were shot, or the time that they were shot. We can click on record date and it resorts all of our information, all of our clips, based on the time that it was shot, based on the date information that is automatically assigned to your digital clips. All right, let's say we want to find out which shots have been used already in our project. We can just simply click on timeline reference and it'll resort our clips. If the used clips don't come to the top the first time you do it, go ahead and click it again and it'll bring the used clips to the top. Clicking it again will bring all the used clips to the bottom. If you want to see them at the top and they don't show up the first time, just click it one more time and there they are. And now we know which clips we've already used and can go after other clips. One sad note about this timeline reference count is that it will give a count to any time a media clip has been used in any of your sequences. So for example, if you look down here on my timeline, you'll see that I have 5 or 6 sequences here. And it may be that I'm working on sequence 4 and I want to know what clips I have used in sequence 4. However, if any of the clips have been used in sequence 1 or music, if I've used it there, let's drop one on the timeline here, we see that it pops up. Now if we go back to sequence 4, we see that it remembers that it's been used. Even if I close these sequences, it still remains with a timeline reference count, even though the sequence has been closed. So that's hopefully something that will get fixed in version 6.0. But for now, in version 5, just word to the wise that if it's showing up in a timeline reference count, it does not necessarily mean that you have used that clip in the particular sequence that you're working on. Okay, as you're working with your clips, organizing your clips, you may find that the frame that is represented in your PyCon here is not necessarily a good demonstration of what's on that clip. For example, this clip here, as we double click on it, by default EDIUS gives you the first frame of your clip. And yeah, it's a nice shot of some pasture land, but if that's all we thought that was contained in that clip, we might go right by it and not select it. But as we bring it in, we see it has some nice shots of some antelope bouncing through the field there. And so it might be better to change this PyCon to something that better represents what's inside the clip. And we can scroll through the shot simply by holding down your mouse wheel and kind of sliding your mouse in the right direction to go forward, or to the left direction to go back. And when you find a frame that better illustrates what's inside that clip, you can just simply let your mouse wheel go. And that way, as you're searching for media a little bit later on in your project, you'll have a better idea of what's on that clip. Okay, now as you are working with your clips, organizing your media, you may actually want to go through some of your clips and set in and out points so that you're more prepared for your edit when it comes along. So again, by double clicking on any clip, it brings it into the play window. You can search through it and see if there's any usable media there. If it looks like there's just too much motion going on as I go through a clip and I see it's probably something I won't be able to use, I'll go ahead and just drag that into the trash bin, so that we don't have to look at that clip again. And go on to our next clip here, and well, we see that we have some nice action maybe going on right about here. So let's go ahead and set an in point. Let's maybe just slide this over so we've got a little bit more room to work with here. Go ahead and set an in point and play it by hitting the space bar, and we see that the action is right about here. Let's set our in point there, and we got a nice turn, and set our out point here. However, something that you need to know before you go through your bins and select all of your beautiful in and out points is that EDIUS will not remember your in and out points unless you go ahead and press this little icon here to update your bin. And now this particular reference to this media has been updated with the new selection that you've made. If you don't do that, let's select another clip here and get an in point and an out point and move on to our next clip. Now, just to see what happened, let's go back to our previous clip and notice that our in and out points have not been remembered by EDIUS. And so just to save yourself a lot of tears and frustration, remember that if you're going through and setting up in and out points through all of your media and all of your bins, if you want EDIUS to remember any selections that you've made, you have to update the bin itself. And then EDIUS will remember what you've done. Okay, now let's say you have a long clip like we had up here earlier, this shot of the gazelles or antelope, whatever they might be, dancing through the fields. And we notice that the clip is actually running 2 minutes and 30 seconds here. We may actually want to go through this clip and mark 5 or 6 usable shots. How can you do that? Well, let's say we want this establishing shot. Let's get a little in and out point there. And what we can do is make a new reference of that clip by using the little down arrow here. We can add clip to bin. And this will bring that shot down to the bottom of our bin. And we'll notice that it has remembered our in and out points. Okay, and then we can go through our clip and see if there are some more good shots. Here's what looks like an interesting shot here. Let's just play this. Okay, get our out point, and again add clip to bin, either by using this little down arrow or by learning this keyboard shortcut Shift Control B. And that brings another reference of that same clip into our bin, but this time as we bring it in, we'll see that it has remembered our new in and out points. And you can go through and do this as many times as you like. Here's another good shot here. And again, add clip to bin. Now, just one more thing to note as you work with your bin windows and are organizing your files and folders and media into appropriate folders is that it's okay to have one particular clip represented in a variety of different folders. Let's say, for example, that as we go through our safari shots, we discover a number of beautiful scenic shots. We may also want to have that shot referenced in a folder that's just simply called Scenic. And we have one over here called Scenic. And so what we can do is once we've opened it up in the play window, we can simply drag and drop that media clip back into our folder and drop it right into the Scenic folder. So now, not only do we have it in our Safari folder, but it's also showing up in our Scenic folder. And that way, once we start working on our edit, we'll be able to find these shots a lot easier. Okay, I believe that's it for our tutorial on the bin window and organizing your media.